finally, Ramsey Solutions released the long-awaited Borrowed Future documentary. And we watched it last night.
Yeah.
And we have some thoughts. So if you're interested, keep watching. My name is Alina.
I'm Warren.
And we are debt haters. And we hate our over $100,000 worth of student loan debt.
Don't love it.
And we're on a journey to pay it off. So in this video, we are talking about Borrowed Future, the documentary released from Ramsey Solutions, from financial expert Dave Ramsey. And we're following his plan, the Financial Peace University plan to get rid of our debt and to continue to build wealth. So this is our reaction to Borrowed Future. We're going to talk about the first impressions that we had, like our reaction, and then we're going to talk about maybe our likes and dislikes. And dislikes is a strong word, but maybe more of what we would like to have seen. So overall first impressions, obviously, it was wonderful. It was great. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was like watching an actual movie. That wasn't really. I mean, look, it's a documentary. It's a documentary. Don't go in there expecting, a literal movie or someone making up something. Like, these are real people doing real stuff, and it's like watching National Geographic of humans or something. And like watching Meerkat Manor of people. Just instead of snakes and stuff, just debt. Yeah,
instead of debt's the enemy. But yeah, I think that was my first impressions of it. First, very educational. Like, I learned several things that I didn't know before. Just kind of the history of Sallie Mae, history of like the student loan industry in general, like, and its original intentions and how it was connected to the government, how it became a business. Like, all of that is broken down in plain language for anyone to understand, and they really connected the dots for you. Like, I think that was a plus out of the document. So it's not just about so I did look, let me just say this. I did look at, some of the Amazon reviews that weren't very positive. And, it's not a what was me, wah kind of documentary of just look at all these poor people, literal poor people, probably.
Poor, stupid people. Like they got into debt and they're blaming someone else.
Yeah, so it's not that. Though there is a
it's not really blaming someone else. It's like
it's breaking it down of how they literally fell in the ditch,
and how this is a system, geared for your failure and for them to build up.
So it's educational in that way. That was my first impression. My first impression was sort of like what Warren touched on. Is just the looming kind of. So we watch the movie with captions. We watch a lot of our shows with captions. I don't know why, but we do. And ominous kind of. Like Unsolved Mysteries. So the music and just kind of how they made you feel. The cinematography, I guess, is the word, the professional term. That was really good. And that's what my first impression was like, wow, they're really making this into, I don't know, like a scary movie or like just something that's
creepy. Just creepy.
It kind of puts you in this mood like, man, this is serious. Like, wow, somebody's like life's on the line.
We're not playing no My Little Pony music with that.
So
nothing bubbly.
It's not just Dave Ramsey talking. Obviously nothing against Dave. I like his teaching, but I like that it's not one-sided. As a journalist, what I went to school for, it has some objectivity to this film. It's not just Dave talking. It's not just, Anthony O'Neill. He's another personality. He was in it. It's not just him talking.
Basically, it's not just people who are on one side talking.
Right.
People have different perspectives, sharing their idea on what that is. And Dave didn't cut it out. Knowing Dave, he typically would be like, man, get out of it. Get off my documentary.
Right.
No, he actually allowed people to have their own opinions and thoughts about these things that are different from his, which is awesome.
Right. So it's that side, the Dave Ramsey quote-unquote camp. And then you have the camp of victims, I guess you can say, of student loans, people who are living their life with student loans and dealing with the ramifications and the consequences of that. And then you have another camp of kids, of cute little teeny bopper high school students who are about to go to college, and they're grappling with the decision: do I take student loans or not? And they the film takes viewers through that kind of process of what they're thinking about, what they're considering, and why they would consider student loans. So that's the part where you're talking about, to where these kids come in, most of them anyway, come in pro student loans. Like, I'm gonna take student loans. I don't care what you say.
They're about to graduate or whatever, and they have that mindset. Like, graduation is their number one thing. Getting the grades up and getting those tests done. They're not thinking about student loans like in any kind of danger. They're just like, I want to go to college.
Right. So another is that they talked to someone from the actual student loan company, like one of the call center people, and they kind of did a mini little expose of just how they are trained, what their goals are, and that was good to hear, because
they're like quota and stuff.
Right, and just how much they're willing to quote unquote help people. And I thought that was good, just to see from the other side, these people that you're talking to on the phone, kind of where they're starting from, where their jump point is from. I also liked, obviously, illustrating the burden of student loans. They did a great job of illustrating how much a burden is, like how much it affects what you eat, where you live, what kind of job you have, like your future, like literally.
What marriage looks like for you.
Right, yeah, they did, and these were real live stories. It wasn't just someone kind of quote unquote preaching it to you. You actually walked a little bit in their shoes to see it. The film is emotional. I cried.
I'm still upset that man skipped his cupcake. Like, there was cupcakes sitting there, and he's so sad he's in debt. He just moves on past the cupcake. Man, just enjoy the cupcake. I'm sorry.
Okay. But yeah, so the film, there is some emotional parts in there. And I think that's good. I think it's good for people to see that.
One thing I wanted to share was that I do think that kids need to see it, like high school people. There's a big chunk of them talk about the high school students talking, and I think it should be shown in schools.
So yeah, that's the thing. This film isn't just for people who are, I guess, maybe influencers or people who are, part of government or advocacy groups, and, to see, what kind of effect this is having on people. It's not just to analyze. This could be a blinking red light to someone, high school students, of what not to do. Like, this should be like a warning, like.
Yeah, it's like taking them to jail or something like that.
Like scared straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to keep them out of trouble. Like, watch this movie. Look at these people who, are crying, or who say they can't do this or that, or say my marriage, I couldn't do this, go here after my wedding. I missed out on this stuff and I can never get it back. Like, they need to see that, just if anything, not to change their mind, but just to give them a better perspective than those even on the documentary had.
Right. So yeah, I definitely agree that if there's any group of people who need to see this, I really think anybody should see it. Like, if you are a parent, of a high school student, or if you're, past all this, I think just anybody could see. If you went to school debt free, or if you already paid off your student loans, like, still to see like what other people are dealing with, and obviously to see the huge government tied to this, like, to see that, they don't really care about us.
Yeah.
Like the Michael Jackson song, like, they don't really care. Like, this is a business. Not just a business, it's a business. Like, it's not, and
a lot of people are benefiting basically from people being in debt. A lot of people are benefiting from it, basically.
Yeah. I also liked how it seemed like a theme throughout the film, if I had to say that, is ignorance. And not in a bad way. Well, not in a bad way. It's just not knowing. No lack of direction. Like, I've noticed that a lot with the people who did go into debt. They say, oh, I didn't know. Yeah. And I just felt like I had to do this. And they just did this. Like, I'm already... It's like... it's an ignorance, it's a lack of knowing, and it's a lack of preparation. And I say that to myself too. You know, granted, all of our student loans here back here that we're, you know, still like trying to tackle through. So that was a theme. I hope people catch that. Like, I hope that they can see, hey, this could all be avoided if maybe, you know, on the front end you kind of think about it. What's great about the film is that they did show a success story, like a woohoo, somebody who graduated without debt. Granted, it was just one person. But, you know, his theme, the reason why he was able to get there is because he planned. Like, he had a plan, he worked the plan, and he worked very hard. And, you know, he was creative and just real smart and bright. Like, that was really good to see.
Yeah.
That there is a way out. You don't have to be a victim to it. I'm going to go ahead and read what it's about. Borrowed Future uncovers the dark side of the student loan industry and exposes how the system is built to work against you. The film kind of talks about, I guess, education and how it's connected to quality of life, or how the marketing, how this heavy marketing of college connects to quality of life, and people kind of feel like they have to go to school. But then the rising costs of education, so then how are they going to pay for it? And then where student loans come in to just give you all this money, and then the interest. And then they not just touch on it, but they do a great job of showing how a college degree doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy, or you're going to have the house, the job, the car, the family. Like, that's the quote-unquote gimmick that they give you, and it turns out not to be necessarily true. If anything, it's a lie. It's the total opposite sometimes, that you can get that degree and it's like the worst thing ever because you're chained.
It's kind of like other things that are, you know, if companies are trying to make a livelihood off of your livelihood, you know, they're going to tell you things that they know aren't true. Or they're going to tell you things, or make a whole lifestyle out of something that's not true. You know, like the American, quote-unquote, the American dream. You know, they're using it. Yes, the American dream is good, and the pursuit of happiness is there, and all that stuff. But they're forming it to say that this is the way to get there, you know, when it's not really.
Right. It's heavy marketing. Like I said, it's a business. Like, it's really to get people in the door. What we would have liked to see more. So for me, what I wrote was diversity. Like, not in the sense of black and white or anything like that. There was diversity of that there. Maybe there could have been more.
It did seem like all the people of a little bit of melanin tended to be more towards getting loans.
Oh yeah.
And the one that was successful, the one was a little not melanin.
Not melanin.
But
yeah.
It's okay. You know, it's all right. Look. Look, like, you can't find everybody. I mean, you can't do that.
So I'm not, obviously, like I said, I love the film. It was fine. So that's not the diversity I'm talking about. I'm talking about the diversity in maybe family structure. And and maybe I noticed it because I'm a mother. All right, so family. Sorry, speaking of which, you know, I had to set my kids up with some animal crackers so that we could finish this video. But yeah, I just wish that that there was more diversity maybe in that way, just family structure. They did talk about, or at least one group talked about how their debt was preventing them from having children. Not to spoil alert or anything, but so illustrating the debt burden and how it affects their lives, I think it would have been good to see, you know, someone with children and how that affects their life and the decisions they have to make.
Yeah, because the typical assumption that we've come to is, if you don't have kids, go at it. You know, like, just enjoy getting out of debt. Work as much as you want to. Work as much as you can. Shoot.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that was the part of the movie I think that they try to illustrate the most, was that it seems insurmountable. Like, that's why some people are really emotional, is because it seems like you can't win. Like, you can't get over it. Like, that's the whole thing of it. Like, the literal deep hole of it. some people are in that much of a hole where it seems like, I could work 24/8. Like, I could, but I'm still not going to get there.
And part of me can see that as another wish. I don't know, like, based on the reviews, the negative reviews, a person watching this could look at it and say, well, what's holding them back? Like, what's really holding them back? What is your bad credit really withholding from you? Like, what are you being stopped from doing? Like, you can still have kids. You'll just be in more debt. Or, you can just do this. You can still go on your honeymoon. You'll just be in more debt. You can still buy your car.
Well, some people can't. I mean, some people actually said that they couldn't get a house because of their debt. And I think it's the fact that they have monthly payments. Now, for us, I think maybe you say that because we don't have monthly payments, but some people, they were paying in the, 4 figures every month in debt. And then they look at their debt at the end of the year and it's still the same or even more because all they're paying is interest. So, that's a blow to your motivation right there. It's like, well, why try? I'm never going to get out.
One of my other wishes is just, I like documentaries for a certain amount of time. This was 90 minutes or something like that. It was about an hour and a half. I might have needed a little bit more dramatization or more uplifting moments, I guess. More times to, something, a little humor there. So, I don't know. Like watching Dave, when you go through the program of
his show.
When you go through Financial Peace University, and you watch Dave for however long he's on, there's humor, sprinkled throughout. And I know debt is serious. Dave, because he's rich, I guess he could throw some humor in there. These people really are in debt still, and I guess I would like a little, maybe throw Dave in there a little bit more. He could, say something or make it feel a little bit more lighthearted sometimes.
I got you.
Because it's a bunch coming at you, and it's 90 minutes of just a little documentary rather than maybe throwing a dramatization. I don't know, like something to where it can keep your interest, so they could put the heavy stuff on you.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, considering the topic, I guess they wanted to stay on topic. But, and I guess that's the point. There's not that many bright spots to this whole issue. I mean,
True.
The only thing is, that one story of the student who went to school debt free. He got real creative in how he went to school debt free, and I think that was great.
I like that.
I like to see that, but obviously he had direction, so that would be the only, maybe you need improvement thing. I wish there was more emphasis on the lack of planning. Because his story shows that it is possible to get through this minefield, so to speak. Like, you can navigate through it. All you need is a plan. You need a plan ahead, and you need kind of a guide. I think that boy, he had a guide. Like, he had somebody to tell him of the dangers and tell him how you can avoid it. Like, I don't think he just thought of that on his own, right? Like, just thought of, hey, no, I'm not going to get loans. Like,
I don't remember the beginning of his story. Like, was he in the group with the other teenagers?
No, he wasn't. He
wasn't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if his beginnings, but
yeah,
you could tell he had a plan.
Yeah, I think I just wish there was more talk of how to avoid all this. They did a great job of illustrating the problem, illustrating the consequences, and
But we need a solution. Like, what's even the point of the documentary in general? Like, why are we going to watch it?
I think the point is so that you don't do this. It's supposed to be, like you said, a scared straight sort of thing.
So
like,
it should just mainly go to kids and maybe adults who are considering loans. But
well, Dave is an advocate of government ending the student loan program, of stop having federally backed student loans.
So if that's the plan, then this is supposed to be a social call to rise up and vote or contact your congressperson in all 50 states and make sure that they change that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Just put limits to the. I mean, if you don't want to get rid of loans altogether, student loans, just limit it again. Take it back to where it was in history or something.
Yeah. So if anything, it's great to watch the film for that history kind of lesson, the educational part. So they had that round table with Anthony O'Neill of teenagers about to go to college and talking about what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
You got to actually see what decision they made. So that was interesting to see.
It's interesting to see their opinions that they were sharing and then what they did or whatever the year and a half later or whatever.
Yeah.
Did they go to school without debt? Or without taking out loans?
Like,
or
what happened?
Or did they go to school at all?
Yeah.
Or did they go to school and take out all the loans they could, maxing them out?
And so it's good to see like how hearing or having that talk with Anthony O'Neill, see how it impacted them. Like I'm sure they have had other influences in their life, obviously, who helped them make that decision.
I mean, I had influences in my life that helped me make my student loan takeout decisions.
Right.
You know, so.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. So the biggest thing that maybe I don't like, and it's not necessarily about the film, but it's about society, I guess, as a whole, is that...
We're about to rate society.
Rate society. No, is that there are other issues, I guess, that aren't taken as seriously. So it seems that it was said a few times of how big of a decision we're putting on the backs of 18-year-olds. 17-year-olds as we graduated early, and how, you know, how can you just offer them $50,000 to an 18-year-old and all this stuff? True. But it's not just in financial education and literacy, it's in health, it's in, you know, matters of morality and faith. You know, it's, you know, how old you have to be, you know, to drink, how old you have to be, you know, to smoke and to buy cigarettes or to buy alcohol, and, you know, just about other areas of health. We're allowing kids who
believe that they're invincible, who believe they can do anything.
Right, who do childish things, and we're giving them big adult decisions. And it's not just finances, it's other things. It's like, well, where's the advocacy for that? Like, how do we prevent kids from, you know, teen pregnancy? Or how do we prevent them from addiction and drug abuse? Like, how do we prevent them from, you know, just all these other ills in our society, you know, of suicide, of, you know, just, you know, eating disorders, or just anything else. It's like, well, why are we, I don't know, it just seems like the whole predatory thing of the financial industry or the student loan industry, all that marketing is in other stuff too. And same with, you know, just take it as clothes or, you know, just anything like that. And they're preying on kids.
Let's go Charlotte's Web for a second. I did a little research. Okay, so spoiler alert, Charlotte's Web, 1950s. Charlotte dies, right? But she has 514 kids. What I looked up, what I researched is that 1 out of 100 spiders lives to adulthood when they are born, when they come out the egg. Like, that's 514, basically only 5 of those spiders should be alive, or would be alive. Kids don't understand the idea of probability or proportions to an extent. You know, they don't understand that it's a, you know, what's a bad deal versus a good deal. They think that they're going to be one out of that, you know, one of those 500 that are going to be the ones alive. Mm-hmm. When in reality they could be the ones, you know, that get killed, or they're out of, you know, they get into debt, or that will, you know, catch, you know, certain diseases or whatever. Like, their probability about doing certain things is there, and they will always see themselves as, or typically they see themselves as, you know, the exception, or the ones that will get over, the ones that will make it.
Right. Or that things would just somehow work out. And they had a couple of the teenagers kind of express that in so many words that, you know, I'm going to do this, and like they had no care of how they're going to pay it back, or how, you know, what sort of job that they'll get. And that's the shortfall of them to an extent. But like I said, it's that ignorance, it's that lack of education, and the fact that no one is even trying to offer this education. It's like you get it on the back end, and it's like, well, I've already messed up. So I'm getting this education now, but why didn't you give it to me, you know, years ago?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the part that is not necessarily the fault of the film, but it's just what I don't like about our society in general is that we create these problems ourselves, and we don't do the backtrack of trying to fix it. And you know, you can look at, like I said, obviously for government, the fact that they are doing this on purpose and that it's systematic and systemic, you know, and it's not
they're
just
doing it as a form of, they believe that this is the best way to benefit society. This is the best way to grow. Like back then, their example, I'm not going to go into spoilers on it, but it's, you know, it's history. They did it as a form to benefit society. Knowing good and well, if there was someone who was older or more experienced, they would say no. You know, they would say no. But they go to the younger people because the younger people think they're invincible. The younger people think they will not be that statistic.
yeah, or that they just assume the best and that they don't have a plan. They don't think, you know, ahead. You know, they just kind of live for the now. And I think that in order to fix this problem, the whole student loan issue, you're gonna have to start with the younger people.
You know, always start with younger people. Yeah.
In any sort of society, if you want to, you know, develop a society into something, you start with the younger kids, and that's what they're doing with other things. It's this indoctrination. Like, I won't go into like public school and what they're teaching, but it's an indoctrination and to produce adults who think that certain way so that they produce a society that thinks a certain way.
Getting in debt in general is an indoctrination from school. You know, looking at math problems that I have to teach, you know, it's just easy. You know, they throw it in there. It's in compound interest. You know, I teach that. You know, the word problems are there that are chosen for the curriculum.
Right, but it's simple. You can see it on paper, but can you apply it to life? I mean, that's the whole question that a lot of kids ask is how am I going to use this in life? Well, you can use it in life. It's just a matter of you actually using it, like knowing how to apply it. What is that, critical thinking? Like, that's the definition of critical thinking.
Yeah, but
taking your education and applying it. But
even so, you know, applying it to life is one thing, but then, you know, you have people changing the rules, you know, who are in the higher ranks and stuff. You know, they're still, yeah, you might want to apply it, or yeah, you want to change something, but then you have other people who are actually pushing against you or nudging you a certain way or really forcing that, you know, you go a certain route.
Yeah. So we're only one day out, but I'm looking forward to hearing more reviews. We are a population of people that it was the center of. So we are those people dealing with the effects of student loans. It could be said that we are victims, quote unquote, of it. But I would like to hear from, you know, people's reviews maybe who aren't so connected. And I'd like to hear their thoughts on the documentary, like how they think it was done.
If you're not connected to it, would you watch it all the way through? Look.
Yeah, or what do you think about it? Or do you think, I mean, we saw like the negative reviews on Amazon. Obviously, Amazon is full of negative reviews, but
I mean,
people who are like, oh, well, just pay it off, and you got the loan, so pay it. You know? All right, so if you have any thoughts about what we shared, definitely share in the comments below. I'm hoping that it could help other people. And I'm sure that's Ramsey Solutions' thought behind this documentary too, is that it will help people. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, and that I think it did a great job of illustrating, like actually painting a very detailed picture of how serious all this is, how serious it is, and how much of, I guess, a mess it is. And I'm hoping that there'll be change. Like, if the government's not going to stop it, then I'm hoping people wise up, please, I mean, there can't be any more clear of a sign not to get student loans. Like, there's just too many opportunities for... Yeah, I was just saying there's just too many opportunities for alternatives, like a loan or a degree that you have to get on borrowed money isn't your only pathway for success and happiness in life. Like, it's not. I mean, especially, you know, it's here 2021, like, you can make money doing anything.
And if you...
like, you don't need a degree. You really don't, especially if you have to borrow it to get it.
And if you need to wait a year or 2 years or whatever and work and stuff like that to build up to actually pay for your college, that's the idea, that it would be better that way. I know parents are ready for that 18-year-old to be out, but
yeah,
this is beneficial.
Yeah. And the traditional way isn't working anymore.
I
Like I
mean,
said, the cost of college has gone up.
we done.